right. Hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Bead Stash Challenge Design Reveal for week 6. I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, and I want to thank you all for joining me. If you're new out there or you're joining me on the replay, let me know. I'd love to know who's watching. Replays will be available on Facebook for 30 days and YouTube starting probably later today or tomorrow until YouTube decides to change their policy. All right. So it's week 6 already. Can you believe it? So today we are going to make a bail, and we're going to use it along with some gemstones, some orange beads, a magnetic clasp, and something to remind us of Arizona. So that's our project for today. I just want to remind everybody our sale goes through Monday. Let me look at my calendar real quick. On the website, I think I may extend it. It may only go on the website through Sunday, but you can order directly from me through. I will give it another week. So through the 22nd, I will honor my sale prices, and it's a buy more get more sale. So if you buy one item, you can save 26% because it's 2026. Okay. If you buy 2 items, you can get 30% off, and if you buy 3 or more items, you get 35% off. Last year I did a buy 2 get 1 free. This is actually better than that, right? Because you get 35% off regardless of how expensive your third item is, right? And that was only 33%, right? If you got 3 of the same thing. Anyways, and then I also want to remind people we have our new heart sun catcher kits. I know it's not going to get to you in time for Valentine's Day, but you know, hearts are good year round. They remind people to be kind and to be loving, right? So all of that's good, right? So that's where we're at. And like I said, our sale includes all the cards, kits, and bead mixes. I've been finishing up my inventory for taxes and starting to incorporate the things I bought at the gem show this year so that I have all that down. And I'm looking I'm looking forward and excited about coming up with some new kits for you guys this year and some new cards. So there is a poll out there if you want to participate to see what kind of cards people are interested in. And if you don't see what you want, there's the chance to add things that otherwise aren't on my list, okay? So I appreciate any participation in that. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's flip the camera here. All right, and we'll zoom in a little. And just a reminder of our kits. Now, if you go to the website, I have not updated my numbers since I found more hearts at the gem show, but I will do that. And if you have any problems, just let me know. So we have our purple sun catcher kit. This one, the quantities are not too limited on. I have most of that stuff, okay? The blue one is also available, and all these kits are $10. We did a make along for this one and this other one that I'm going to show you. This one, you will get, the components of your kit will be slightly different. The blue beads do not always match, but you will get a minimum of 3 blue beads. And at the moment you will get this heart bead. I have a limited supply of that one, so I may switch that out, but you will get something in this bright blue color and a third kind of heart of some sorts, okay? And then we have our magic purple kit, which we made on Sunday. So if you missed that, you can go back and look at that. I do have stuff to restock these ones as well. The big crystal I added to the kit is my most limited item in this. So if I start running short, you will get something else instead of this one, okay? But you will get the nice big ones, and you get chain. The only thing you don't get is wire, okay? So that's our magic purple, which is, for those of you that have been using crystals for a while, is the vitriol. So it's kind of got purples and greens in it. It's very pretty in person. I don't think that or this one shows up very well, the lighting on the cameras, but this one's very pretty. If you get any of our prickly pear kits or our violet dream bead mix, this is pretty much the same shade that's in there. So it's a nice dark purple if you're a purple person, okay? And then, like I said, we have this one for those people that aren't purple people, but it's, you know, beautiful blue for a change of color. So, oh, hey, Janelda. No problem. I appreciate you jumping on. I hope you have a great show. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to make today. All right, so we have to make a bail. So, you know, bail is pretty much what you hang your, you know, allows you to hang something onto a chain or a necklace or a bracelet. You can buy a lot of pre-made bails. You can make your own bails. Bail can be as simple as jump rings, really. So, you know, don't overthink it. But I'm going to show you a couple examples, and I'm not quite sure where my fancy one I made last time was, but I was trying to mess around with making something with a heart, and, you know, it just has to have a ring, you know, and if you have bail making pliers, what you get is a large ring and a small ring, and then you can just hang things off of that. This was supposed to be a heart, but it got a little crushed, okay? But you can see where I can attach something onto the bottom of this, and then I also have a loop to attach over a chain. So I made this a little bigger loop up here because, you know, I might want like a thin necklace with like tiny beads on it that this would just fit over, okay? And then this one's kind of fun. I think we're going to make this one today, maybe. So I made a little spiral to cover up the loop back here. And then we have the attachment that goes on the necklace itself. Okay, and then this ring opens and closes so you can put things onto that. So I think that's what we're going to make for our bail today, all right? And for, just so you know, for the bail making wire, I'm going to use 18 gauge. We're going to do it in copper because my magnetic clasp that I pulled out is copper. So that's what drove my color choice. So we'll make our bail out of the copper wire. Hey, Lorraine. We've got our magnetic clasp here. I think we're going to make a necklace, okay? So I was thinking about making a bracelet, but I decided we'll make a necklace. Okay. All right, so we have to use orange. So we're fudging our orange a little bit. So I've got some peach adventuring here. So, you know, peach is a pale orange, right? And then I also had some natural peace adventuring hearts, which are a little darker. So, you know, I would classify this as an orange. So, trying to keep it in the light My camera is over here, but my light is over here. So, so anyways, that's where we're getting our orange, and our gemstones are from that, okay? And then we had to design something inspired by Arizona. So I pulled out a couple of charms. I have a little copper cactus charm, and then I have a second charm that is enameled, and it's in shades of orange and yellow, okay? So I think it matches these quite well. And then, because it's Valentine's Day this week, I thought we would throw in a metal heart, possibly. I'm still debating on that, so we'll design it. This isn't really copper, but it's not. It's that. I don't know if they call this the fake gold, or because I also got these in gold, so it's a little rose goldish, so it's a little orangish, but I know it's hard to see. So I've got a mixture of metals here because one of my charms is silver, one is copper, and one is this kind of rose gold. All right, so that's where we're at, okay? And then I've got some chain and some jump rings out here. So we'll see how this goes. All right. So let's start with the bail. Now, I decided to use my 6 size looper here, which is basically, you can buy what the bail pliers, which basically have a lot of these different sizes. So you'll usually get 2. Let me see where am I? There. All right. These ones are big ones, but they are big. So you get 2 different size things in your pliers. And basically you're making kind of a letter S is just a basic bail that you can make with these. Maybe we'll do one. Let me see if I can find my ones that are more reasonably sized. Okay. We'll use these ones. We'll make a sample, and then we'll make the one we decided to do, okay? So, all right, I'm going to use 18 gauge just because it's nice and thick, and it's just what I decided to do today, okay? So, to make the bail, I want a little bit of wire. Normally, actually, you know what? We'll do it the easy way. So often when you're using bailing pliers, you want to stick the end of your wire right in the middle so that you end up with a rounded edge. And then I'm going to circle the wire around until it meets up, okay? And then I'm going to stick my pliers, so right here is where the join went, and now I'm going to take my wire in the opposite direction. And I am actually going to pull my pliers out of there and then put it back in this one. And I am just wrapping around to complete the circle here. Right. So you end up with a figure 8. And you could just trim your wire, right there and have have your figure 8. I would definitely hammer it to harden it if you're going to do that. The other thing you can do is do one wrap around this, so you only have one open ring, which is what you're going to use to attach to whatever. Let's see. So we'll do a small wrap because I don't have my hammer handy, surprisingly, huh? All right, so I am going to just kind of wrap this wire carefully around there so I get a closed loop. And this does not look gorgeous, but we'll adjust it a little bit. It'll look better. All right. So now I'm just going to take my pliers and I'm going to crush down on that. So it's nice and flat. Right. And then you'll see our other edges come open. So I am just going to use this plier that's got a slightly smaller hole, and I am going to just kind of close that loop up there. Okay. So your bail could be as simple as that. In this case, you'd want to hang the big part from the, from whatever chain, necklace, whatever you're hanging it on. And then this part would be open. And I would probably suggest that you flip this so that one is going 90 degrees to the other one. Okay. And then I'm going to bend that out here a little ways. And there we go. So there's a very simple bail. Although it's kind of going the opposite. Well, anyways. Actually, in this case, I would want them going the same way. Oh, man. It's going to be one of those days, right? All right. Because you're hanging it this, parallel to the wire. All right. Anyways, there we go. It's a simple one. So we're going to make something a little fancier. So I'm going to cut about 5 inches of wire here. And this is the one we're making, okay? So I'm going to stick my wire between the 2 smallest ones on here. And I'm going around the second smallest one, not the tiniest, okay? And I am just making that loop. So there we have a loop. Right? And now I want to leave a little bit of room between that, and so I can wrap some wire here and then do my coil. So I think I'll go up about 2 pliers widths on here. And then I am going to just bend my wire with my hand. And I think, I'm not going to make this huge. So I'm going to go to my center 2. And I'm just going to pull this wire around, move the pliers so I can come at out where it says. So now I have my, my little loop down there, and then I have a circle up here. So now I am just going to hold this with my pliers, and I am going to wrap just a couple times around here. Okay. really, you know, as long as you go around at least once, you're fine. And then I'm stopping at what I consider the front. So the front being, so the open part of my loop is what I would consider the back. Okay. And now we're going to swirl this. Now, since I wrapped the wire this way, I want to kind of swirl the opposite way, okay? So to swirl, I'm going to start with the smallest thing on my looper. I am going to make a loop, and then I am just going to continue turning. So I have that. And the easiest thing to do then is take some flat nose. You could use your chain nose. This has to have flat in the middle. And I am just going to grab that, and I am going to gently turn. Now, you can do a tight coil, or you can leave some space. I want to do fairly tight coil, so I'm just using my hand and my pliers to kind of gently push this around. The pliers help keep it flat. All right, and we're getting there, and then you're just going to keep going until your spiral ends up at the top here. And you can kind of push it down a little. And now it hides your connection, and you get this pretty little spiral here. And then the back has your loop. So this ring, which will go over your necklace wire or chain, and then you've got your spiral there and something to hook it to. So that's our fancy bail. All right, so that's the bail we're making today. All right, let's move these things out of the way. Don't need those ones out. Sorry. All right, so now we gotta design the rest of our necklace, right? All right, so we've got, I just have some jump rings out to attach my charms, and we've got some gemstones. So I was thinking like doing, you know, something around the bail. And then, you know, and then we'll just finish it off with chain. So I thought, you know, I would use soft flex on the bottom part. Although I could put chain and then, you know, do beaded chain, because I made this big enough to go over the chain. But like I said, now we have to design a little bit, all right? So we've got our spiral. So one thing we could do, I don't know which one of these I just made, but it doesn't really matter because they look. So one thing we could do is just hang our heart directly on there. Or we could hang multiple things on there. So in which case I would put like this little cactus guy. So we could do our fully mixed metal here. We've got, you know, our copper bail. We've got the little cactus on top of the heart. What do you think about that? Do you like it with multiple things hanging from the bale, or just the heart, and we'll figure out somewhere else to incorporate our little cactus? Do you like it? Do you want just the heart, or do you like the heart with the cactus? Because I think, what I could do is like hang this cactus up there. I think it's kind of, I don't know, I kind of like it both ways. All right, well, we think about that. Then what I thought I would do is, we'll string some beads. You like it with both pieces? Okay. So I was thinking, we could just use some of these beads and then, add the orange hearts, because, we need more orange. I'm just laughing at the orange because, wasn't usually my color. I did used to wear a lot of peach, but we could just do something like that, and then we'll just finish it off with chain and our magnetic clasp, which is hiding from me, which probably means it's stuck to something. What did I do with? Is it stuck to my wire? No. Huh. Well, that's not cool. Oh, it's stuck to my pliers. You gotta watch those magnetic clasps, because they will escape from you. All right. I am going to put the cactus on because I need my cactus for my Arizona theme. And then we're going to put that heart on. And then, so I had gently turned my loop sideways, and now I'm going to go back, and I am going to, just like we're closing a jump ring, we just tighten that up so it's as close to there as possible, because you don't want your dangles to come off. Okay. All right. Now I'm scattering beads. So, okay, let's pull this out. Since I'm using copper, I'm going to use my butterscotch Imperial Topaz. All right. And I've got some copper crimps, which means we need our crimping pliers, right? All right, so let's put some beads on here and see what it looks like, until we put the crimps on. And even then, really, we can change things around. Of course, once we put the crimps on, then we have to destroy things to change things around. But found these orange hearts on sort of a closeout table at the gem show, so like I said, they're not a bright orange, but I knew I had other things that would go with them. Some of these other beads, like these peach beads, I bought a couple years ago when, remember, peach was the color of the year. People didn't get too excited about that. People don't like the white color of the year this year either. You know, of course, brown last year, that was not very exciting either, so. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Take it down. And then we can just finish it off with some chain. Yes, it was peach fuzz. All right. I'm kind of liking that. So now, you know, we have a decision to make when we're finishing stuff off with chain, okay, is do we do I attach, you know, the clasp in the front, or do I do it in the back? There is no right or wrong, it's just it becomes part of your design. I think we'll put it in the back. All right. Now this. So I have this copper chain, so let's get some crimps out. All right, so let's put, yeah, it can go on the side or the back, I think. Well, we don't have to decide on this first one. All right, so I'm putting my crimp on, and then I'm going to go through the end of my chain. Back through the crimp. I think these, let's double check if we can get, yeah, you can easily get 2 strings through this, so I'm going to leave a tail on so that that gets tucked in, and then I am going to like try to make my loop about the same size as my chain loop, just, you know, so it looks so it almost looks like, you know, a piece of the chain. All right. So we're using our magic crimpers. So stick your crimp, center it in that divot as best you can, and then squeeze to get a ravioli shape. And then you're going to turn it 90 degrees, and you're going to squeeze again. And then you're just going to slowly turn and squeeze with the keeping that crimp centered in the there until you have a nice little bead looking thing. All right, now I'm going to use and let gravity help push all this down. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to use my hands. Apparently it's not going to be cooperative. All right, here we go. All right, so now I'm pushing all those up tight till my tail is covered. I can slide the rest of the beads down. And now I'm going to cut, you know, so I have plenty of room for a tail. Now, I do have to decide before I cut my chain. Now, if I just had like a piece of chain sitting out here, I would just connect this to the other side, since I'm going to put the clasp in, and then I can cut the chain in the middle and put the clasp. But instead I have a long spool of chain, so I have to kind of decide how long I want my necklace. So let's see how long. So our center part is just over 5 inches, and then the clasp would be, you know, at least another ½ inch. So let's say it's 6 inches. I like mine around 18 to 20 inches, so I need, what did I say, another foot of chain, I guess. So that would be about 20 inches. All right, and I don't know if this chain is coated steel, so I am going to use my memory pliers. All right. So now I've got that. And so you see I still have one piece of chain here, but I'm going to go ahead and hook this through it. And I didn't look. Pretty sure this is, no. This may not be a completely closed chain, in which case I could use pliers to open it like a jump ring kind of thing, but it's fine. All right, so now I'm putting my soft flex through the end of the chain, back through my crimp. Now I want to make sure that my tail is not sticking out on the other side. All right, so I'm going to pull this through, and then I'm going to pull it through. See if I can do 2 beads. It's a little short at the moment, but all right, so putting it through 2 beads, and I can still grab my end here. So I'm going to tighten that, and then we're going to push down, tighten, push, tighten, and now I have room almost to get through a 3rd bead. Just gives me one more bead for the warm fuzzy, right? All right, so now I need to get all this tight against the heart here, so push and pull, right, till you get it down. And again, we want that loop to be about the size of a piece of chain. And let's make sure I don't have, you know, wire showing. I have a little bit here, so I'm going to tighten it just a little more, because there is a little play here for where I need to cut the wire. All right. So now we're going to, again, stick it in the divot. You get a ravioli shape. Turn it sideways. and squeeze, and now I'm just, like I said, gonna turn it and squeeze. Don't over squeeze, because if you accidentally get things off center, you just crush it, which is fine. You know, you can choose to just crush your crimps to keep them on there if you want to. If you guys watch, you know, Candy Cooper, she doesn't like to take the time to do anything but crush hers. And then you can always just cover it with a crimp cover if you want, right? Good news is my clasp wants to connect to my chain, which means my chain is real metal, right? All right, so here's what we have. Don't need that. So that's what our necklace is looking like. And then we can just put our clasp in the middle, right? So let's just cut that middle one. So I actually think this is not closed chain, so we may be able to, yep. So I am just putting that loop on there, okay? So I'm going to, so attaching magnetic clasps, you need your attachments to be fairly sturdy, because when you kind of yank them, a lot of people just yank them apart, you know? So whatever I connect it to the chain with has to hold pretty well. So I think we're going to use, I have these 4mm jump rings that are fairly thick, so we're gonna have to double check. It's not look. It's weird. I think I have different sizes here, but all right. So these are pretty thick jump rings, so they may not fit through the chain. So let's see. And so what I do when I open jump rings, I grab one side, and I always put my opening at the top, and then I take my pliers and put it on the other side, and I am going to twist. So I'm just using one of my hands to twist. It's a gentle twist. Don't open it any further than you want, okay, or than you need to. So you always want to twist the jump ring open so that the ends stay parallel to each other. That way you get the best closure on your jump ring. So I did not test this when I was pulling things out. Oh, but it does fit into my link there. And the reason I want thick jump rings is because they'll stay better. Now I'm not going to use those skinny little pliers. All right. So now I am to close it. Remember, I still have hold of this one side. I'm grabbing the other side, and then I'm twisting them back towards each other. And while I'm doing that, I am pushing them towards each other, and I'm going back and forth a little bit until I get them lined up really well. And you want, you know, I use my fingernail to check and see how smooth my closure is. If it's really rough, then you don't have it closed as well. And like I said, it's a really gentle twisting motion will get you your best closure. Now, you also have to buy good rings to start with, that because like these ones almost look like a closed ring, but because they're lined up so well. But again, we're going to do that on the other side. You know, we used a magnetic clasp a few weeks ago, and I wore my bracelet out, and it stayed on, and then all of a sudden I came inside and my bracelet was gone. And I was like, what in the world did it just happen? Fortunately, it had just come off in the car. But, you know, if you have something that you really love that you're putting a magnetic clasp on, you may want to put a safety chain on it, especially if it's a bracelet, because they like to attach themselves to things. So we're going to do that again. We are gently grabbing the side and twisting, and like I said, a gentle pressure towards each other, a little back and forth until it gets lined up. And if you can't see it, just fill it, you know. All right, so I think we have our finished necklace. Hopefully it's long enough. Now the alternative, you know, if we hadn't had jump rings that fit, would be sometimes what I like to do, and we've done it before, is I will just wire wrap a small bead on the end, and then use it to hold the clasp on. And it's just a real pretty addition anyways if you do that. But there's our final project. What do you think? Nice Valentine's. For somebody who doesn't like pink but likes peach, right? Or orange. You know, it's a little more earthy. You know, if you find people that love earth tones versus bright colors. I'm not always an earth tone. You know, I probably have I have a lot of earth tone gemstones, I will say. Yet I wouldn't consider myself an earth tone person with most of my dressing most of the time, but all right, let's put this on and see what it looks like. Come on. All right, may have to. Let me take my other. I remembered I was going to actually, I almost used these beads. I think we made this last year around Valentine's Day, because I had to use orange and black or something. But anyways, decided not to use those. All right, so we've got our homemade bale. We've got our little cactus to represent Arizona. Got a little heart and 2 more hearts for Valentine's Day. I did purposely wear orange since I was working with orange today because I want it to look good with my outfit, right? So, I don't know if we also made little orange heart earrings with the spiny oyster. But there we go. I think that worked out okay. And like I said, we had a fun bale design, which kind of covers it up, adds a little decorative element there. But you could certainly, if you're good with making hearts, like I said, my heart got a little crushed because I decided to connect it up here. But if I was, if I work hard in this wire, I wouldn't necessarily have to connect that. It's just if you hung something heavy off, it would stretch out. Okay. So, but if you are good at making those hearts, I also have I don't remember, I think this was in a wire jewelry magazine, but I have a little heart ring, just for fun. You just got to get all your hearts in, for the holidays, right? Well, thank you, Lorraine. I'm glad you liked my bail. It was just sort of, you know, I was trying to do something a little different. So now we've got our wire bail. All right. Alrighty. So I think we achieved our project for the day. Like I said earlier, our sale, I'm going to extend it. The coupons will run out on the website on the 15th, but if you are trying to order from the website, you have any troubles, let me know. Otherwise, you can order direct from me and I'll invoice you. It's not a problem. But we'll still run our bundle sale through the 22nd. And, you know, like I said, we have plenty of restock on the, I know the website says we have low stock on the kits, but that's just because I have to build some more kits and add them. But I do have more. I probably have at least 5 more of each of the 3 colors: the blue, the purple, and the magic purple. Okay, so it's just after that I have to switch out some parts because I have limited numbers of some parts. But not hearts anymore because I stocked all up on those. Anyways, all right. I will be back on Sunday at noon. Day after Valentine's Day. Yes, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys have a chance to celebrate. My husband and I are gonna go to one of our favorite restaurants for dinner. So, you know, it'll be fun. And hope you guys get a chance to celebrate. So Sunday we'll be back at noon Mountain Time. I have no idea what our bonus project will be. I'll have to think about that. But we will draw for week 7 and see what we're going to make. And then, oh, I know what I was thinking is I might make a 4-leaf clover pendant, or, you know, maybe it might end up being the middle of a bracelet for St. Patty's Day. Since I will not be home for St. Patty's Day. So just a reminder, I do have, we will be missing a few weeks this year. So I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that, whether I'm going to make them up or just skip them. So just to let you guys know. And that starts in a month. Okay, so we'll see. But anyways, we'll be back on Sunday and I will keep you guys informed. And like I said, if you ever have any questions on how to do things, or you want to bounce an idea off me, any of that stuff, feel free to direct message me and I'll be happy to respond to you as soon as I can. If you send it in the middle of the night, you're not going to get an answer from me until the morning. But realize if you're on the East Coast, your middle of the night happens, well, I might still be up. So anyways, all right, we'll see you Sunday. If you haven't already, please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And I thank you all again for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Bye.